After staying up late to take care of my husband and child and nearly dying from overwork, I heard two ghosts chatting. An old woman said, "What a fool this woman is. Her husband spent all their savings on his mistress, yet she skips takeout to stay up late making him lunch boxes every day. She worked herself to death, didn't she?" An old man echoed, "Exactly. What's the point of saving so much money when you're dead? The 100 gene of gold bars I hid in the courtyard at 18 Hohot Alley will never be found. What a waste." The old woman sighed, "Don't even get me started. We both died with money left unspent. I still have 6 million yuan in cash sitting in my house on Namping Street." My eyelids fluttered slightly. Suddenly the old woman drifted over to me. She seems to have moved. Is she not dead?" A bone-chilling gust of wind hit my face. I squeezed my eyes shut in terror, not daring to move an inch. The old woman clicked her tongue. "She really isn't dead." The old man sneered, "But she will be soon. If she keeps burning the candle at both ends like this, she might not die today, but she'll be dead by next month. She works harder than an ox or a horse every day, eats less than a cat, and only gets 4 or 5 hours of sleep each night. How can her body hold up? Women are such fools." The old woman jumped up, indignant. "That's only because you men are rotten." He said he had to work the night shift every Saturday, but he was actually fooling around with his mistress. Before leaving home, he even made his wife prepare a midnight snack for him to take. And the mistress had the nerve to nitpick about the food made by his legal wife. Oh, it infuriates me, absolutely infuriates me. The old man pulled her back. All right. Don't get too close to her. If you scatter the little yang energy she has left, the ghost messengers will definitely arrest you. Let's go quickly." The old woman mumbled, "How fragile can she be? If I blow on her and she dies, that's her fate. The ghost messengers can't blame me." The two bickered as they left the room. The cold, eerie air in the room gradually faded. I struggled to open my eyes and stared at the pale ceiling for a full minute before my consciousness slowly cleared. At midnight last night, just like always, my husband said he had to work the night shift at the company and told me to prepare a midnight snack. Our child had been suffering from a cold and fever these past few days, and I had been exhausted from taking her to the hospital alone for 4 drips. After putting the child to bed at around 9, I forced myself to do 2 hours of housework, washing clothes and mopping the floor. I had just drifted off to sleep when my husband woke me up just before midnight. Resentment stirred in my heart. I lay there without moving. "Order takeout for yourself tonight. I really can't get up to cook." Milo Zhang's expression turned cold instantly. "Can't get up? I work so hard and I have to go out for the night shift in the middle of the night. What about you? You stay at home enjoying the good life all day long, yet you keep making excuses when I ask you to cook a simple meal. I think you don't want to make this marriage work anymore." My head throbbed and my body felt heavy as lead. I didn't have the strength to argue with him, so I just waved my hand weakly. "It's not that I don't want to. I'm really feeling terrible. Tian has had a fever these past few days and I've been taking care of her all by myself. Enough." He cut me off impatiently before I could finish. "Only you have it hard? Don't I? I leave home early and return late every day, and I even take the whole night shift on Saturdays. Isn't it all for this family? After all I've sacrificed, don't I even deserve a warm meal from you?" Hearing what Milo Jiang said, most of my resentment faded away. We had been college classmates and both of our families were ordinary. After having our child, his parents stayed in our hometown to work and had no time to help take care of the baby. I had no choice but to quit my job and raise our daughter alone. The entire financial burden of supporting the family fell on Milo Jiang's shoulders. Milo Jiang worked tirelessly and even volunteered to take the night shift every Saturday at the company just to earn an extra 1,000 yuan. He already worked so hard during the day, and having to stay up all night on Saturdays too, I was afraid his health would give out, so I always thoughtfully prepared a midnight snack for him to take to work. Poor couples always struggle to make ends meet in big cities. It takes both partners pulling together to make life work. Seeing that my attitude had softened, Milo Jiang also toned down his voice. "Honey, you know how unsanitary takeout is, especially in the middle of the night. How many decent restaurants are still open? Most of them use gutter oil. If I get food poisoning and collapse, what will happen to our family?" I nodded and forced myself to sit up. "All right, I'll go cook for you. What do you want to eat tonight? Milo reeled off several dishes in a row: sautéed beef slices and spicy chicken feet, all of which would take quite a bit of effort to make. Dizzy and lightheaded, I spent over an hour cooking, then packed the food for him. I watched Milo Jeong leave the house, then collapsed to the floor and fainted. I didn't wake up until now, and it was already bright outside. I lay on the cold floor and the chill seeped into my back through the gaps between the tiles, almost freezing my heart. What had those two ghosts said? Milo Jeong wasn't going to work the night shift, he was out fooling around with another woman? My first reaction was disbelief. Milo and I had been in love since our freshman year of college. We had spent 10 years together building our relationship. I refused to believe he could be such a person. My hands trembling, I picked up my phone, wanting to call one of Milo's colleagues to confirm if he had really been on the night shift. But as I scrolled through my contacts, I realized that after Milo had changed jobs, I didn't know any of his new colleagues at all. I didn't even know the name of his company. Our child was only 2 years old. Over the past 2 years, I hadn't slept a single full night. Between endless housework, changing diapers and staying up late, I had never had a moment to spare for anything else. Panic began to set in. I stared at my phone in a daze for a moment, then suddenly remembered what the old woman had said about the 6 million yuan in cash. Right. If I could find that money on Nanping Street, it would prove that everything the ghost had said was true. Nanping Street wasn't far from our community. It only took about 10 minutes to walk there. I ran to the bedroom to check on my daughter. She was still fast asleep, wrapped tightly in her quilt, her little face flushed from being pressed against the pillow. Under normal circumstances, she wouldn't wake up for at least another hour. I locked all the doors and windows, turned off the power in the house and rushed out immediately. Following the location the old woman had mentioned, I found number 67 Nanping Street. It was an old building with a small, overgrown courtyard. The courtyard gate was locked, but the wall wasn't very high. I managed to climb over it with a bit of effort. I entered the house. The living room was completely empty with no furniture at all. It wasn't until I went up to the second floor that I found a large black suitcase in the main bedroom's wardrobe. When I opened the suitcase, I was stunned. Inside were stacks and stacks of neatly arranged cash. Each bundle was worth 100,000 yuan, and there were exactly 60 bundles. The bank's paper bands were still intact on top of each stack. My heart started pounding wildly in my chest. At first I was overwhelmed with joy. 6 million yuan. I was 30 years old and I had never seen so much money in my entire life. But after the initial excitement, a sharp pain pierced my heart. The money was real. Which meant my husband's infidelity was also real. Not only had he cheated on me, but he had also treated me like a doormat. He even made me cook midnight snacks for him and his mistress to enjoy while he was with her. What had all my hard work over the past few years been for? My heart ached fiercely. Yet surprisingly, the pain was short-lived. The overwhelming joy surged up again, like a scorching tide that completely engulfed the faint twinge of hurt. I took a deep breath, stretched out my trembling hand and stroked the beautiful pink banknotes. Never mind, never mind. Compared to 6 million yuan, a man's infidelity was trivial. Wait, it wasn't just 6 million yuan. The old man had mentioned that he also had 100 jin of gold bars. I started counting on my fingers. 100 jin was 50,000 grams. At the current gold price of 850 yuan per gram, how much would 50,000 grams be? 42.5 million yuan. That was more than enough to ensure my daughter and I lived a worry-free, prosperous life for the rest of our days. My heart burned with passion. My first thought was to deposit the money in the bank. But I quickly realized that would be a mistake. I was going to divorce Milo Jeong. During the divorce proceedings, our joint marital property would definitely be divided. If I had such a large sum of unexplained money in my bank account, I would never be able to account for it. Worse yet, he might even get half of it. To be safe, I needed to hide the cash and not touch it for now. Reluctantly, I opened one bundle, took out 20,000 yuan and put it in my bag. I left the rest untouched and locked the suitcase back up. I carried the suitcase out of Nanping Street. As I walked to the alley entrance, I heard two elderly people chatting about the old woman who had lived there. Her name was Mabel Chin. She had worked at a large state-owned enterprise with excellent benefits during her lifetime and was well off financially, though she had a very eccentric personality. She had never married and only had a niece who lived in Shanghai. After she passed away, The house had naturally been left to her niece, whom she had never even met. The niece looked down on the property in this fourth-tier city and had never found the time to take care of it. What's so great about her? She never even acknowledged any of us neighbors when she was alive. Look at her now, she's dead and no one even burns incense for her. I silently thought to myself, Ms. Mabelchin, don't worry. As long as I'm alive, I will never let your incense offerings stop. When I got back to the community, I first spent 5,000 yuan renting an underground storage room from the property management. After getting the key, I put the suitcase inside, locked the door securely and then hurried home. Unexpectedly, before I even entered the house, I heard a familiar cry coming from inside. My daughter was awake. Panicked, I immediately unlocked the door. As soon as I opened it, I found Milo Jiang had already come back, lying on the sofa scrolling through his phone. My daughter, dressed only in thin pajamas, was sitting on the floor crying all by herself, with no one paying her any attention. When he saw me come in, Milo Jiang lazily looked up and instead of comforting the child, he interrogated me first. What's wrong with you, leaving Tian alone at home? I called you so many times and you didn't answer. Where have you been? I'm starving. Hurry up and make me breakfast. His shoes were carelessly thrown at the entrance. One sock was stuffed inside a shoe and the other was lying on the coffee table, right on top of our daughter's pacifier. A surge of anger flared up in my chest. Milo Jiang had always had terrible living habits. He made a mess wherever he went, leaving shoes and socks scattered around, tossing used tissues on the table instead of throwing them in the trash can just a step away. Our daughter was in the oral stage, putting everything she could get her hands on into her mouth. I had argued with him countless times about this. He would always promise to change but never did. If I nagged him too much, he would fly into a rage. I'm exhausted from making money every day with my mind full of work. How can I be bothered with these trivial things? Can't you just clean up after me? I can't be the one earning all the money and doing all the housework too. What's the point of marrying you then? Since Milo Jiang was the one earning all the money for the family, I always put up with his bad habits out of sympathy for his supposed hard work, tidying up after him every day. Little did I know everything was a lie. His hard work was a lie, and his image as a family-oriented, honest man was a lie too. He had spent the whole night fooling around with his mistress outside, yet he still came home expecting to be waited on hand and foot like a master. A wave of nausea washed over me. I walked straight over, picked up his sock and stuffed it forcefully into his mouth. I've told you 100 times not to leave your socks lying around. Fuck. Willow Shen, have you lost your mind? Milo Jiang jumped up from the sofa, frantically pulling the sock out of his mouth. The strong stench of his foot sweat made him gag violently. He bent over, retching uncontrollably. Ugh, you, what the hell is wrong with you today? In the 10 years we had been together, I had always been gentle and soft-spoken with Milo Jiang. Even when I got angry, I never swore. I would just raise my voice a little, reminding him not to do it again. This was the first time I had ever resorted to violence against him. After the initial shock and anger, Milo Jiang thought about what he had done last night, and a guilty look crossed his face. He asked tentatively, "What's wrong with you?" I kept a cold expression on my face as I picked up our daughter. You know exactly what's wrong. I didn't directly accuse him of cheating. I knew Milo Jiang too well. He had always prided himself on being an honest, upright man. Unless I caught him red-handed in bed with his mistress, he would never admit to it. Bringing it up now would only alert him, making him more cautious. I needed to hire a lawyer to investigate privately, gather evidence of his infidelity and property transfer, and divorce him as quickly as possible. Then I would take our daughter and the money, move to a new city where no one knew us and start a brand new life. What do I know? Who are you being so sarcastic with early in the morning? Milo Jiang sized me up suspiciously. Once he was certain that I didn't actually know the truth about last night, the anger he had just barely suppressed flared up again. There's something wrong with you. You left the child unattended and didn't make breakfast, wandering around outside alone. He paused for a moment, then demanded aggressively, did you go on a date with another man? Is that why you're so annoyed with me now? I was so angry I could have laughed. This was typical of men. They cheat and do dirty things themselves, yet they turn around and accuse their wives of being unfaithful. I didn't bother arguing with him anymore. I carried our daughter back to the bedroom to change her clothes. Milo Jiang followed me with a dark look on his face, pestering me relentlessly. Speak up. Where the hell did you go? He had only asked a couple of questions when there was a sudden knock on the door. Milo Jiang went to open it. Immediately after, I heard a voice filled with surprise. What are you doing here? You left your watch at the company after the night shift yesterday. I came to bring it to you. It was a soft, coquettish female voice. My hands froze mid-motion as I was changing our daughter's clothes. I turned my head in disbelief, looking towards the entrance. Standing outside the door was a stylishly dressed young woman. She had big wavy curls, was wearing a tight black pencil skirt, and had delicate makeup on her face. She winked playfully at Milo Jiang. Brother Jiang, I specially came to bring you your things early in the morning. I haven't even had breakfast yet. Milo Jiang cleared his throat awkwardly, stepped aside to let her in. Really, you could have just given it to me on Monday. No need to go out of your way to come all this way. Come in and sit down. I'll ask your sister-in-law to make you breakfast. What would you like to eat? The woman nodded, stepped into the house on her high heels and plopped down on the sofa. The pork rib noodles that sister-in-law makes are so delicious. I want that. All right, Willowshin, did you hear that? This is my colleague Norichin. She went out of her way to bring me my watch. Go make her a bowl of pork rib noodles. After the initial panic and nervousness, an odd sense of excitement surged in Milo Jiang's heart. His cheeks flushed slightly. He deliberately put his hand on Nora Chen's shoulder and patted it gently a couple of times, as if introducing her to me. In reality, the way they looked at each other was so flirtatious and ambiguous that sparks could have flown between them. The blood in my veins seemed to freeze solid. A buzzing noise filled my ears, my stomach churned violently and waves of acid rose in my throat. I felt like vomiting. I really wanted to throw up. I never thought Milo Jiang could humiliate me to such an extent. He had the audacity to bring his mistress into our home, flirt with her in front of our daughter, and even order me to cook for them. A towering rage erupted in my chest like molten lava from a volcano. I wanted to pounce on them, tear their despicable, shameless faces apart. I wanted to grab everything within reach and smash it to pieces, destroying this disgusting scene in front of me. But I didn't move. The angrier I was, the calmer I became. I held our daughter tightly, forcing a stiff smile at Norichin. We don't have any pork ribs at home. I'll go to the market to buy some. I'll take my daughter out for a walk too. I'll be back in about half an hour. You two can sit and wait for a while. I picked up my bag and walked to the door. As I was putting on my shoes, I deliberately instructed Milo Jiang. There's still the yogurt and fruit I just bought last night in the fridge. Go get some and treat our guest well. Don't worry, I'll definitely entertain her properly. Milo Jiang winked at Norichin. She pouted playfully, glaring at him with her lower lip between her teeth. I pretended not to see any of this, closing the door calmly behind me. Half of my heart was filled with anger and disgust, the other half with relief. It felt as if everything was predestined, as if even God was helping me. I had been worrying about not being able to get evidence of his infidelity, but now they had delivered it right to my doorstep. Milo Jiang had no idea that there was a hidden camera in the living room. As a single mother taking care of our daughter alone, I had to juggle cooking 3 meals a day, doing housework, taking out the trash and picking up packages. There were always times when I had to leave our daughter at home by herself for a few minutes. How could I possibly feel at ease leaving such a young child alone? That was why I had installed a camera in the living room. But unexpectedly, for some reason, our daughter was extremely afraid of that camera. After I installed it, she would look up at the camera on the ceiling and burst into loud tears. Milo Jiang had complained about it too. Why can't you just take Tian with you wherever you go? What's the point of installing this thing at home? It's a complete invasion of privacy. It's not convenient to carry her when I'm taking out the trash. Why not? You can hold her in one arm and the garbage bag in the other. I shook my head and sighed. It's clear you've never taken out the trash before. With kitchen waste and Tian's diapers, we have 3 or 4 bags of garbage every day. My hands are full just carrying those. How can I have the extra hand to hold Tian? Milo Jiang clicked his tongue impatiently. I think you're just being lazy, making up all these excuses. Hurry up and take this thing down. It gives me a headache just looking at it. Since Tian cried so loudly whenever she saw it and Milo Jiang was so strongly against it, I had no choice but to take the camera down. But what he didn't know was that I had secretly installed a much more hidden one later, tucked away under the chandelier. I carried Tion down to the community square, sat down on the edge of the flower bed and opened the surveillance app on my phone. Sure enough, on the screen, two naked bodies were already tangled together on the sofa. Under Nora Chen's buttocks was even the apple-shaped pillow that our daughter loved to chew on the most. I took a deep breath, closing my eyes in disgust. I quickly composed myself. First, I went to the storage room, took out 100,000 yuan in cash and put it in my bag. Then I carried our daughter, hailed a taxi and went to the biggest law firm in our city. I paid a deposit of 100,000 yuan, and one of the firm's partners personally received me. After listening to what I had to say, she nodded confidently. No problem at all. This video will definitely serve as solid evidence of his infidelity. Bringing his mistress into your home and ordering you to cook for them, this is absolutely outrageous. Lawyer Zhou curled her lips in disdain. However, when it comes to property division, it might not be as easy as you think. This marital home was bought by Milo Jiang before our wedding. His parents emptied their life savings to scrape together 300,000 yuan, and together with the 150,000 yuan he had saved himself, they put up a total of 450,000 yuan for the down payment. Back then, Milo Jiang had specifically said to me, "My parents haven't had it easy spending so much money to buy us a wedding house. It wouldn't do for your parents to not contribute anything, would it?" So the money for the house renovation was to come from my side. He promised that once we got our marriage certificate and the renovation was finished, he would add my name to the property deed. True to their word, my parents gave 200,000 yuan to get the house renovated for us. But after the wedding, he kept dragging his feet on adding my name. At first, he always excused himself by saying he was swamped with work. After our baby was born, I was busy taking care of Nuan day in and day out, yet he would deliberately pick times to prod me about it. "Shall we go to the real estate bureau today and add your name?" I shot him an annoyed look. "What are you talking about? Nuan has a fever. I have to take her to the hospital for an 4 drip this afternoon. When would I even have the time for that?" "Fine. I only have a lull in work today to sneak out. Guess we'll have to wait till next time then." This happened over and over again, and I convinced myself he was sincere about adding my name. All I cared about was his attitude. When two people are building a life together, you don't really keep score over every little thing. Gradually, I stopped keeping the matter in mind. I never, in my wildest dreams, imagined things would turn out like this. Lawyer Zhou told me that even if my name had been added to the deed, it wouldn't have made any difference. The court only recognizes who actually paid for the property when deciding ownership. Milo Jiang made the down payment, and he's been the one paying the mortgage all by himself. I wouldn't get a single cent of this house. As for the renovation costs, it'll be up to the judge's discretion. In many cases, renovation expenses are deemed a gift from your parents. You'll probably only get half of that money back. I waved a hand dismissively. "It's fine. If I can't take it with me, I'll just smash it to pieces." "It's not illegal to destroy my own renovation work, is it?" Lawyer Zhou raised an eyebrow in surprise. "No, it's not illegal. But originally, you could have gotten back over 100,000 yuan. I don't need it. I just want a divorce as soon as possible." The division of assets between Milo Jiang and me was crystal clear. I'd definitely get nothing from the house, but his salary earnings over all these years of marriage were our joint marital property. For years, Milo Jiang had kept a tight grip on the family finances. He gave me a fixed monthly allowance of 4,000 yuan. Sometimes when that wasn't enough and I asked him for a little more, I'd always get an earful from him for being irresponsible with money. I'd itemize every single expense for him. Utility bills, baby formula, diapers, daily grocery runs, but Milo Jiang would just frown and point at one item on the list. "Why did you buy skincare products? 188 yuan, what kind of face cream is that expensive? It's autumn now, my skin's really dry. You're stuck at home taking care of the baby all day. Who even sees you? If your skin's dry, can't you just buy some Debeo? Spending 188 yuan on this stuff is such a waste." But before I had the baby, I had a job too. I made over 7,000 yuan a month and I'd been using this brand of face cream for ages. It wasn't even that expensive. Why did I suddenly become not worth it after having a child? I'd poured every ounce of my energy and youth into this family, giving up my career and social life, trapped within these four walls, my every need whittled down to the bare minimum. All I ever asked for was respect and love from him. But a man's love is the cheapest thing of all. It changes at the drop of a hat, utterly worthless. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. I just want a divorce. No matter what it takes, I want a divorce as quickly as possible. Nothing else matters. Lawyer Zhou handed me a tissue, her eyes filled with sympathy. Divorce isn't that simple. I've handled countless divorce cases. Men like your husband are actually the most pragmatic ones. They know exactly what they have: a free babysitter, a live-in maid, someone who can manage the household frugally and take care of all their daily needs. They'd never bear to let that go easily. This lawsuit is going to drag on. It'll take at least a year or two to settle. But, Lawyer Zhou suddenly changed the subject, tapping her fingers lightly on the desk. Looking at you, you must have some savings of your own, right? You don't seem to be short on cash. If you're really dead set on getting a divorce, I do have a foolproof way to make it happen, guaranteed to finalize it right after the mandatory 1-month cooling-off period. And it'll let you get some sweet revenge, teach those two lovebirds a lesson they'll never forget. She leaned in and whispered a plan in my ear. My eyes widened in shock, all my sorrow forgotten in an instant. What? You can actually do that? Lawyer Zhou grinned mischievously. It'll cost you 200,000 yuan. Deal. Done. I left Tian at the law firm in the care of Lawyer Zhou's assistant. Then I took a taxi back to our neighborhood. I waited less than 5 minutes before a black stretch van pulled up in front of me. 7 burly men climbed out of the car, including the driver. They were all wearing black face masks and baseball caps, their broad shoulders and muscular arms covered in bold, intimidating tattoos. Which one of you is Ms. Willow Shen? I raised my hand timidly. That's me. All right. Lead the way. Once you open the door, step aside and stay out of sight. Oh, okay. My heart was pounding like a drum as I nervously led the men to our front door. After entering the passcode to unlock the electronic door, I immediately ducked to the side. Peeking my head around the corner, I froze. Milo Jiang and Nora Chen were still locked in a passionate embrace, though they had managed to put their clothes back on. Nora Chen's cheeks were flushed as she sat in Milo Jiang's lap, complaining petulantly. I'm starving. Where's that frumpy wife of yours? Why isn't she here to cook for us yet? Cook your ass off. One of the burly men charged in, grabbed Nora Chen by her hair, and slapped her hard across the face several times. You slut. You bitch. You took our money and thought you could hide away and live happily ever after. The man struck her with brutal force, showing no mercy. Nora Chen's face quickly swelled up like a pig's head. Milo Jiang's eyes widened in horror as he tried to lunge forward to help her. Who are you people? What are you doing? Before he could even stand up, a foot clad in a black leather boot slammed directly into his face. 2 of his teeth fell out on the spot, blood dripping from his mouth. I'm your goddamn father. Pay up. Without another word, the men pinned Nora Chen and Milo Jiang down and began beating them mercilessly. As Lawyer Zhou had put it, these guys were professionals when it came to roughing people up. The beatings looked brutal, painful even, but they were all just superficial injuries. If they went to get a medical assessment, it wouldn't even qualify as a minor injury. The physical harm was minimal, but the pain and humiliation were excruciating. One of the men pressed Milo Jiang down on the floor and started stepping on his head. Another unzipped his pants and urinated on Milo Jiang's face. As he did so, he shouted insults. Dare to stiff me? Next time I come around, I'll make you eat shit. The men split up to divide the work. Some tormented Milo Jiang and Nora Chen, while the others grabbed sledgehammers and began smashing everything in the house to smithereens without hesitation. Every piece of furniture and appliance was destroyed, cabinets and dining tables shattered into splinters. There wasn't a single spot left where you could even set foot. Nora Chen's hair was a tangled mess, several of her teeth knocked out. She collapsed on the floor in terror, wailing uncontrollably. Help! Who are you people? Please spare me. I barely even know Milo Jiang. Let me go. Spare you? Bullshit. The man spat in her face and slapped her twice more for good measure. Willow Shen, you little bitch. How dare you take our money, default on the debt and block my number? Willow Shen? What Willow Shen? Wait a second, Nora Chen screamed. Did you people make a mistake? I'm not Willow Shen. The burly man paused, staring at her suspiciously. Cut the crap. Who are you trying to fool? Aren't you Milo Jiang's wife, Willow Shin? Isn't this pretty boy Milo Jiang? Nora Chin sobbed hysterically. He is Milo Jiang, but I'm not Willow Shin. I'm just his colleague. Bullshit. Another glob of spit landed on Nora Chen's face. Just a colleague? Then why were you two making out like that? Do you think I'm blind? Nora Chin trembled violently, wiping the spit off her face. It's the truth. Go look at the wedding photos in the bedroom. I'm really not Willow Shin. I'm just having an affair with Milo Jiang. Whatever issues he and his wife have, it has nothing to do with me. As Nora Chin screamed her confession, one of the other men leaned in to study her face carefully for a moment, then muttered to the leader in a low voice, "Boss, I think we messed up. This woman isn't Willow Shin." At that exact moment, I made my perfectly timed appearance at the doorway. I peeked inside, let out a startled gasp, and immediately turned to run. But I only got one step away before a burly man grabbed me by the arm. He dragged me into the living room, shoving me roughly to the floor next to Milo Jiang. "Boss, this woman is the real Willow Shin." I immediately put on a show of hysterical crying. "What are you people trying to do? I told you I'd pay the money back. Can't you just give me a few more days?" The burly man scowled impatiently. "A few more days? How many damn days is that supposed to be? I'll give you a month. Please. Just wait till my husband gets his salary next month. My husband is loaded. He's a hard worker and his boss is even planning to promote him this year." Through my fake sobs, Milo Jiang finally pieced together what was going on. He stared at me in disbelief, his face turning ashen with rage, his eyes burning with a murderous glare. "What? You took out a loan from a loan shark?" Milo Jiang lunged at me, his face contorted with fury. "I give you 4,000 yuan for living expenses every month. Why on earth did you have to borrow money from loan sharks? What the hell were you thinking? How much do you even owe them?" His fingers were inches away from my face when one of the black-clad men backhanded him hard, sending him stumbling backward. "Who the hell do you think you're yelling at? Stay down and shut up. You don't get a say in this. Please don't hit my husband." I threw myself protectively over Milo Jiang, sobbing as I begged him for forgiveness. "I'm so sorry, honey. I was wrong. I'll never do it again." Between the utility bills, property fees, over 2,000 yuan a month just for Tiantian's formula and diapers, you're so picky about what you eat, demanding fish, shrimp, and meat for every meal, and you need nice clothes for work. I was so desperate I had no other choice. I only borrowed 20,000 yuan at first, but it was all gone in 3 months. I was trying to pay off the debt when a friend told me the stock market was booming, suggested I invest to make some quick cash. So I borrowed another 100,000 yuan to trade stocks. I never imagined I'd lose so much money. It was like I was possessed. I burst into loud, heart-wrenching sobs. Now I owe them a total of 500,000 yuan. Milo Jiang's vision blurred and he almost passed out on the spot. "How much?" I hung my head in shame, tears streaming down my face. 500,000 yuan. "Honey, how much savings do you have left? Please give it all to them." Milo Jiang screamed hysterically and lunged at me. "That's my money. You're not getting a cent of it. Take her away. Take this bitch away. Sell her, do whatever you want with her. It's her debt, none of my business." The burly man snorted contemptuously. "This is a society ruled by law, you idiot. Selling people. You want to get us all locked up. Let me make this clear, you can't run from this debt either. Part of what she borrowed went to household expenses, and the rest was a failed investment. This is your joint marital debt. Don't even think about washing your hands of it." Milo Jiang trembled with rage, completely losing his mind. "It has nothing to do with me. Nothing at all. We're getting a divorce. You're responsible for all these debts yourself, Willow Shin. I want a divorce." As soon as the words, "get a divorce," left his mouth, Milo Jiang's eyes lit up, and the tension in his face instantly melted away. "Yes, divorce. I can't let you drag me down with you." The several burly men exchanged glances. "Divorce or not is your domestic business. But one way or another, the money you owe us has to be paid back. We're only here today to teach you a lesson. Tomorrow, when you two figure out a solution, I'll come back for our money." The men dragged Nora Chin away with them. When they reached the elevator, one of them shoved her roughly forward. Beat it. What, you planning to stick around and call the cops on us? Go on, try it if you dare. You've got some nerve sneaking into someone else's house to cheat. And for your information, we've got photos. Nora-chan forced a bitter smile. I wouldn't dare, boss. How could I ever call the cops on you? I'm leaving right now. With that, she scrambled away as fast as her legs could carry her. Once everyone else was gone, Milo Jiang and I sat amid the ruins of our home, staring at each other in silence. Milo Jiang panted heavily, fumbling for his phone on the remains of the sofa. He filmed a video of the house, completely destroyed, and posted it in the family WeChat group, indignantly accusing me of racking up huge debts from stock trading and declaring that he was divorcing me. My mother-in-law was the first to jump in. What? Stock trading? Oh my God. How could something like this happen? Willow-shin, I always thought you were such an honest girl. Turns out you were just putting on an act. How dare you take out those shady loans and get our house trashed like this? You need to compensate us for all the damage. I burst into tears and sent a long voice message. You're absolutely right, Mom. Compensation. I have to make them compensate me. I admit I was wrong to take the loans, but they had no right to smash up our house like this. What they did is illegal. Thank you for reminding me. I have evidence. I'm going to the police to file a report. Our whole house is ruined, the renovations completely destroyed. And then, without hesitation, I sent them the video, the one of Nora-chan sneaking into our house. As the unashamed moans and groans blared from his phone, Milo Jiang's face turned as green as a sheet. When the hell did you install a hidden camera? Are you out of your mind, woman? I stared at him in stunned disbelief, my eyes wide with shock. Before I came home, you were cheating on me with this woman. And you had the nerve to call her your colleague. I clutched my chest, my voice trembling with hurt. How could you do this to me? Milo Jiang stuck his chin in the air defiantly. So what if I cheated? At least I didn't run up a mountain of debt like you did. Divorce. We're getting a divorce right now. You're stuck with all those debts. I screamed at the top of my lungs, my voice cracking with fury. Over my dead body. You think you can divorce me and run off into the sunset with that woman? You're living in a dream. Milo Jiang and I argued for hours on end. The family group chat erupted into chaos. Milo Jiang's parents called me a spendthrift, a lunatic, impossible to live with. My parents called Milo Jiang shameless, a man who brought his mistress into their marital home, utterly insane. The divorce was inevitable. But this time the tables had turned. The Jiang family was desperate to get rid of me, and they would have to pay a price to make that happen. After arguing all night, we finally reached a settlement. The house would stay in Milo Jiang's name, but he would give me 200,000 yuan. He would wash his hands of all other debts, and full custody of our daughter would go to me. The Jiang family was far from happy with this outcome. But they had no other choice. If I refused to sign the divorce papers, those debt collectors would keep showing up at their door, making it impossible for Milo Jiang to live a normal life. Besides, as a stay-at-home mom, I had no way of repaying the 500,000 yuan debt. Eventually, the burden would fall back on him anyway. He had no choice but to take the loss. I was more than satisfied with this result. Losing a little money was nothing compared to getting my revenge and escaping that disgusting man as quickly as possible. No need for a messy court battle. Milo Jiang and I processed the divorce paperwork in record time. As soon as the mandatory 1-month cooling-off period ended, we got our divorce certificate. The sun was shining brightly when we walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Milo Jiang stood under a tree outside, squinting at me with a complicated look on his face. 10 years. A full 10 years. Willow-shin, after 10 whole years, I never once realized what kind of person you really are. I let out a cold laugh and strode past him without a second glance. Likewise. You make me sick. And lucky for me, I'll never have to see your face again. Milo Jiang sneered. Without me to support you and with all those debts hanging over your head, you'll end up begging for food on the streets. We'll just have to wait and see about that. As soon as I got the divorce certificate, I used 2 million yuan in cash to buy a fully renovated second-hand apartment. It was a 140 square meter unit in a prime location, close to both hospitals and shopping malls. I planned to leave it to my parents for their retirement in a few years. Most importantly, it was located very close to Sweet Osmanthus Alley. where the 100 gene of gold was still hidden. I didn't trust anyone else to help me move it, so every midnight I snuck into the old house alone. It took me 4 trips, 25 gene of gold each time, to slowly transfer the treasure to my new apartment. Gold prices had skyrocketed recently, surpassing 860 yuan per gram. I sold 1/3 of my stash and got over 15 million yuan in cash. Adding that to the remaining 4 million yuan I had after buying the apartment, my total savings came to nearly 20 million yuan. With that kind of money in the bank, earning interest from investments alone would bring in 500,000 yuan a year. I never had to work another day in my life if I didn't want to. I rented a safe deposit box at the bank to store the remaining gold bars. Then I took Tian and moved to Shanghai, renting a nice apartment there. I didn't have a Shanghai hukou yet, so I couldn't buy property for the time being. But with money in my pocket, it was only a matter of time. After I paid Social Security for a few years, I'd be eligible. I was determined to give my daughter the best education and living environment that money could buy. Once we were settled in Shanghai and all the loose ends were tied up, I finally allowed myself to relax. I lay on the balcony, sipping red wine while watching the sunset outside the window. Just then Lawyer Zhou called me. Besides our immediate families, the WeChat group also included dozens of Milo Zhang's relatives, uncles, aunts, cousins, sister-in-laws, you name it. With so many people in the group, there was no way to keep the video a secret. The footage of Milo Zhang and Nora Chen fooling around on the sofa, Nora Chen with her enviable figure, spread like wildfire. The video went viral in our hometown. And as it turned out, Nora Chen was also married. Her husband even worked at the same company as Milo Zhang in the department next door. In fact, he was the one who had been working the night shifts every week. Every time he had to pull a night shift, Nora Chen would invite Milo Zhang over to her house. Once the scandal broke, Nora Chen's husband and his relatives showed up at Milo Zhang's door and beat him to a pulp. They kept coming back to cause trouble, creating a huge scandal at the company. In the end, both Nora Chen and Milo Zhang were fired. Nora Chen's husband filed for divorce, and she was forced to leave the house with nothing. Too ashamed to stay in the city any longer, she packed her bags and left alone. Milo Zhang managed to find a new job, but rumor had it that the pay and benefits were nowhere near as good as his old position. His family was scrambling to find him a new wife, with one absurd condition: the woman had to pay for the renovation of his trashed house. Everyone in our small town knows about his scandal, Lawyer Zhou told me with a chuckle. Other women aren't stupid. Who in their right mind would agree to marry him? Besides, Nora Chen's husband slashed his face with a knife. He's permanently disfigured now. His only selling point, his looks, is gone forever. Lawyer Zhou rambled on for a while, then added a word of warning. His new job requires him to travel to Shanghai on business often. You should be careful, try not to run into him. I laughed and told her she was worrying too much. Shanghai is such a huge city. What are the odds of that happening? I never expected to run into Milo Zhang the very next day at the shopping mall right next to my neighborhood. I had just finished shopping, my hands full of shopping bags, and was standing in front of a luxury counter, carefully picking out skincare products. A voice filled with disbelief rang out behind me. Willow Shen. I turned around and saw Milo Zhang, whom I hadn't laid eyes on in months. He had lost a lot of weight, wearing a crumpled white shirt with stubble covering his chin. A purplish scar sliced across his left cheek, nothing like the handsome, cheerful man he used to be. When we were married, I would wash and iron his shirts every single day, hanging them neatly in the wardrobe. Milo Zhang was quite proud of himself, bragging that the new interns at his company kept gushing about how handsome he was, how he never looked greasy. Your husband is this good-looking, you should really step up your game too, fix yourself up a bit. He never once realized that it was only because of my constant care that he managed to maintain his youthful looks and figure. A man in a marriage is like a vampire, sucking away all your energy and vitality, draining you almost completely dry. Now all the energy and attention I used to pour into him had been redirected back to myself. I was glowing with vitality, while he looked haggard and worn out. Milo Zhang's eyes bulged as he stared at me, looking me up and down repeatedly. Why are you dressed like this? Where did you get all this money? I gave him a faint smile. I earned it. That's impossible. How could you possibly make this much money, enough to move to Shanghai? You, Milo Zhang gasped, his eyes nearly popping out of their sockets. Did you win the lottery? You got rich and then set me up on purpose just to get rid of me, didn't you? After all these years of marriage, he was actually half right. But I would never admit it out loud. I curled my lips in disdain. How I made my money is none of your business. I picked up my bags and turned to leave, but Milo Jung reached out to grab my arm. I let out a sharp shout. Security. Milo Jung flinched and let go immediately. In this big, unfamiliar city, he didn't dare to lay a finger on me. He could only watch helplessly as I walked away. As soon as he got back to our hometown, Milo Jung began investigating me. Using his connections, he found out that I had bought a 2 million yuan apartment in the city. The news nearly made his eyes pop out of his head. Milo Jung filed a lawsuit against me in court, accusing me of deliberately hiding marital assets. After receiving the court summons, lawyer Zhou represented me in the hearing. Needless to say, Milo Jung didn't stand a chance of winning this lawsuit. All my money had come through after the divorce was finalized. It had absolutely nothing to do with him. During this time, Milo Jung was so caught up in investigating me and fighting the lawsuit that he neglected his work duties completely, and was soon fired again. To make matters worse, losing the lawsuit meant he had to foot the bill for both parties' legal fees. His already struggling family was pushed even further into dire straits. The setback hit Milo Jung hard. He became listless and delusional, going around telling everyone he met that I had made a fortune and abandoned him to run off on my own. Naturally, no one paid him any mind. Not even his own parents believed him. Willow Shin? There's no way she's lucky enough to make that much money, to settle down in Shanghai like that. Unless God has lost his mind and dropped a pie straight into her lap. When I heard about their comments, I just laughed it off. It really was like a pie falling from the sky, 2 big fat pies in fact. I had set up a small shrine at home with 2 memorial tablets enshrined on it. Mabelchen. Elias Lee. Thank you both for blessing me with this brand new life.